Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is Chronicle of a Summer from 1961, directed by John Roche and Edgar Morin, or Moran. This is an odd film. It's an attempt at doing cinema verite for shooting real life, but it brings up the question of, if you put a camera in front of somebody, does that actually constitute real life, or have you already artificialized the subject? Jean Roche was an anthropologist who did lots of work in Africa, and he shot films in Africa, and Edgar Morin is more of an educator and a professor. So this is an experiment essentially, and we start the film with them talking to somebody who's going to be in the film about the questions they're going to ask, and again it's about that question of, as soon as you put a camera in front of somebody, does that change the person and what they say and how they act? And then it starts with this woman going out on the street and asking people in Paris whether they're happy or not, and they get various answers. We meet, and as they ask questions and as the film kind of starts on its journey, we meet several people who will be the leading characters in a film, even though it's not a film. So we have a mechanic who works in the Renault factory, we have a couple of African students, we have this woman who we see talking to the filmmakers at the start, we have this Italian woman who's come to live in Paris, and as the film goes from Paris out into the country and then Saint-Tropez, we speak to a glamour model as well, and it's all about how they live their lives, whether they're happy, why they work or don't work, and the filmmakers are sometimes in these discussions with the characters, and what makes the film interesting is at the end of the film, the people in the film are invited to a screening, and then they all sit about and talk about how they felt watching themselves. And there's kind of two camps, one of, some characters were too real and too authentic. For example, the woman from Italy, she's not in a great place when she's first interviewed, and she literally bears her soul. She's completely fragile, and you just kind of want to adopt her. So some people are criticised by the other members of the cast that they're too real, and then other people think that some of them are too phony. And it's striking that balance of, as an audience, do we think that they're playing up to the cameras, or whether are they actually being natural? For example, there's a scene where the guy who works for Renault starts talking to one of the African students and ends up kind of saying, I like you, and kind of the burgeoning friendship just out of nothing. And then one of the people at the end of the film feels that the mechanic was acting and that was phony. So you have this interesting interaction, and then you have a conversation with the filmmakers at the end, and they're talking about that balance between the people in the film criticising each other for either being too real or too phony. And then the film ends with one of the filmmakers walking off and somebody off screen asking him the question, "Are you happy?" Again, it's a really interesting exercise. It's perhaps not a film that I'm going to rush out and re-watch, but it's certainly a film that I'll be keeping, and I'll be re-watching at some point. I often say that films are a kind of quintessential indicator release. For me, Chronicle of a Summer is a quintessential criterion. And I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but I think it's something that maybe only the French would do, because the French in their cinema are very self-reflective. That's how the whole Nouvelle Vague came about. And obviously in 1961, this is at the beginnings of trying to get to the truth and trying to use cinema to get to the truth. But again, when there's a camera there, are you actually getting the true nature of a person, or is that an act, even although they're supposed to be real non-actors? So as usual with Criterion, this one is a really good release. This is a Region A Blu-ray, I should have said. It has a really good booklet with lots of pages and lots of stills from the film. And this one, it's the only time I'll compare Chronicle of a Summer to Spinal Tap. But this has a 73 minute documentary, which is the film Plus 50, which was made in 2011, which is a bunch of outtakes from the film with various qualities of sound. But it's outtakes mixed in with interviews from 2011. So again, it's almost like a second film, and it does go into more kind of depth. There's interviews, archive interviews with Jean Roach and Marceline Loridan, who's the woman who we initially see talking to the filmmakers. And during one amazing scene, it's noted she's got numbers on her arm, and the African students don't know what they mean. One of them thinks, sailors used to write numbers on their arm, but she doesn't look like a sailor. And then obviously she drops the information that she was in a concentration camp. And then there's a stunning scene of her walking around the Champs-Élysées, talking about the conversation she had with her father in the concentration camp, which is quite moving. But again, that's one of the scenes that at the end of the film, some of the people from the film are saying, "Oh, she was acting there," which she denies. She wasn't acting, she was just thinking of memories and her words came out. But that's an incredibly powerful scene. It's actually an interview with her at Cannes, because it won a prize at Cannes. I don't think it was the Palme d'Or. I think it won another prize. And there's a new interview with anthropology professor Faye Ginsberg, who talks about Rausch's work in anthropology and his films in Africa. So the film itself is only about 90 minutes, but like I say, you essentially get a second film, which is about an hour and a quarter, which is fascinating as well, of outtakes. There's a lot of kind of wonderful, strange moments in the film that I'm not going to get into. But it does actually have a few scenes of like an emotional wallop, which you're not actually expecting. And again, getting everybody who was in the film at the end of the film to talk about the film within the film is quite interesting. And it's a fascinating little exercise. Again, whether I'll be revisiting anytime soon, probably not, but it's certainly a film that's well worth checking out, well worth picking up. This was a complete blind buy, but so worth it, and for me, a kind of quintessential Criterion with the booklet, and like I say, with the extras. It's well worth picking up, and again, it is an interesting question about how does the camera affect reality, real life. Can you ever capture real life when you stick a camera in front of somebody's face and ask them questions? Are you ever going to get the real person? Yeah, it's a fascinating film, a fascinating exercise. And please let me know in the comments if you've seen it, or what your opinion of the ills or benefits of shooting real life, and can you ever actually put real life on camera properly. So thanks very much for watching this random review, which is fairly random, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitude Ronin from Solitude Ronin Films, saying farewell.